a good amount of the light world, even though there is a pretty decent seed separation between our two runners here. As we've seen in this tournament, almost anything can happen in a race. There's tons of RNG throughout that our runners, despite their skill level, they can't do much about. So we will see how they fare through the light world here. So while we're waiting on getting synced up here on the stream and then with our commentary as well, we'll just talk generically about the game, and no major glitches means that there is going to be no major sequence breaking through any of the game. Our runners will be using a few minor glitches throughout the game, which do take some frame perfect tricks and a lot of just really good movement throughout the game is what's going to lead to a decent time in the run.
Looks like we've had a little trouble with Caznode's timer is frozen on 38 seconds. So I guess we'll see what they want to do with that. But for now, his timer's all jacked up. But either way, we'll still have the time going on in the race.
Yeah, we'll try to sync it up based probably on the big key grab that they do first here, if that's possible.
Screevo opting to do a pretty nice strat with the key guard there. Approaches it sideways rather than facing it backwards, which is a little safer, but does save a couple of frames, maybe even an entire second to do it from the side. But it's also much riskier. And if you jack it up, you can lose way more time than you can gain. So that was pretty solid on his half for a nice start there.
Yeah, there are a few major sort of hit points throughout Escape here. Screevo just going through one right now, which is this blue guard that you get the boomerang from, and then you have to boomerang the key. Most of Escape is just movement. There's a lot to be optimized there for sure, but we don't really have any items to help us out moving any faster. So we do try to do a little bit of pixel boosting by manipulating Link's movement pattern. Typically, when you're moving north or west, he moves in a 2-1-2-1 pixel cadence per frame. And what most runners will try to do is, while they're moving in one of those directions, pump in the other direction to try to achieve 2 pixel movements to replace those 1 pixel movements as many times as possible. The ball and chain guard here is probably the next major point that most people look for in Escape whenever they do grab that key right there.
Looks like Caznode's on pace for a 38 seconds Escape, which is an incredible pace. Gonna be unbeatable, probably.
I'm pretty sure that's world record pace. I'm not sure.
All right. On that note, we can go ahead and get synced up, at least with Screevo.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Timer-wise. So he's at. It's a little choppy, so it's a little hard for me. I'm gonna say 40, 41, 42, 3.
Okay, I'm ahead.
And Caznode, I guess he's about to go. I'll let you know when he goes upstairs, I guess.
Just past the blue guard the second time? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. 407, 8, 9 for Screevo?
Yep.
Maintaining the 38.4 second pace. Amazing. Simply amazing.
This is something special we're seeing here. Caznode has managed to literally stop time.
It's a really, really ballsy strat, but it's worth it if you can get it to work.
Okay, so both runners are hitting the sewers now. This is kind of the second half of the escape, even though we're technically already halfway time-wise through the escape. But there's a lot more RNG to deal with, a lot more reaction to the room, using the boomerang when enemies do get in your way, because they definitely will jump out. So we'll see how the runners deal with it here. Both hitting this key about the same exact time, so pretty close to escape here. It's another pretty big pumping section through the water here. Your movement through water is especially slow, so even as a beginning player, if you're just trying to learn how to pump, and it can be difficult when you're just starting out to even know if you're actually gaining anything from it. It's a very small time save over the course of the entire run, just mere seconds, I believe. But you do want to do it every once in a while. It kind of saves on any human error that you may encounter in the rest of this run, as is wont to happen in this game.
Both of them are on really good paces here as they come to finish up. It looks like both of them are going to finish just under 6 minutes apiece, which is a nice start for both of them, for sure.
Yep, Screevo right exactly on his PB pace. Looks like a 5:56 escape for him. So Caznode was just mere frames behind him. So it was probably a sub 6 as well. I think his segment timer is probably still working. It's just not displayed because we can see that he's +4 on his PB on escape. Bold prediction by Jesse Lockhart. Oh, did we miss a map somewhere? It's world record strats right there.
So you're going to make it through, meander their way through this little minefield of Octoroks here. Quite a bit of a random element to it, but they're pretty easy to dodge if you're fairly experienced with having done it a number of times, so it shouldn't be an issue for either of them. Taking damage on the way to Eastern is really not a huge deal, but it does cost probably like a second or two loss, and needing to fill those heart containers that you lose on your way at a couple points in the dungeon that provide hearts 100% of the time underneath the pots. But maybe Caznode's missing a heart right now, so he'll need one. Screevo just takes a little bit of damage right before the end, so they'll both probably be picking up the first heart pot before a switch in like the third room of the dungeon to keep those at full health.
Yeah, look, Screevo took some damage from that blue guard there. It may have actually been from a lack of pumping before in those screens. It's really hard. I mean, if you're fast enough to get under that blue guard and you don't get any lag, you can beat him without taking any damage from him. And that's another place, even as a beginner, you want to be pumping. Anytime you're surrounded on both sides by rails, you can pretty easily kind of wiggle back and forth as you're holding up, pressing right or left to try to get some pixel boost. Your movement on stairs is even weirder than it is normally.
Well, Screevo having a little trouble in the Skeletonian room, one of the Stalfos that he wanted to despawn or kill before it spawned, rather, with a pot, throws the pot improperly and has to hack away at it to finish the job. Loses a couple seconds there.
Both grabbing this first arrow pot here. That's technically an optional pickup there because there are a few drops here at the end. They're all 50-50 drops for a 5-pack of arrows. So it's an optional thing to either grab that. But both runners opt to do that, which is honestly a pretty good strategy for a race. Arrows are going to be especially handy for the Lane Mullis fight here in the next dungeon after this one. So they won't have as many as possible after this boss fight.
I think in a race setting, it's nice to pick up the pot of 5 arrows, simply because if you do get one of the drops, you really should be pretty much locked and loaded heading into the Dark World, where you'll need a handful of arrows to cruise through the Palace of Darkness. And just having those extra arrows is pretty much ensures that you'll be there and not have an issue trying to have enough whenever you do get there. So picking up in the race is not uncommon at all.
Yep, so Caznode, I mean, coming out of escape there, Screevo was ahead, but you can see just the slight difference that pumping through all of that section kind of made there. Put Caznode in just a little bit of a lead here going into the Gifted with Greenies room. Caznode is hitting the Zelda Gamer room right after this Cannonball room here. Zelda Gamer room has a few different RNGs. There's some set patterns that these skeletons can potentially follow, so as long as you know where they can potentially move and you handle it well, you can get through there pretty easily. See how Screevo handles the room? It's like he's opting for the two-pot method, but misses one skeleton, has to chase him down and slash him in the corner. Apparently, Screevo does put skeleton into a corner.
Caznode looks like he's got it wrapped up or coming to a close here on his Armos fight. Grabs the pendant. Now he'll be starting to head off toward desert. And Screevo looks like he'll have the same.
Yeah, so this fight here with the quick kill, what you're hoping for, and Screevo didn't get it actually because he took a little bit of damage.
He had him get away. The Armos, one of the Armos got away from him from a bit, but he was able to get it back pretty quickly.
Yeah, that was a good recovery. You don't want the Armos to turn red there, and the way you set that up is by prepping it with 2 arrows before it circles back around, so that as you're finishing off the second to last Armos, you can just fire 1 more arrow before it turns red, and you'll kill the last Armos before it can turn. So now we're going to see which rupee route both runners are going to be opting for. I'm thinking Caznode will probably go tree rupees, and then Screevo may grab these rupees in the back of the hut here.
Looks like you're exactly right.
So that's somewhat important to note there because that's a potential time gain for Caznode for sure. He can gain 7 seconds or so, I believe, from doing the tree rupee route and executing it perfectly. But it's a pretty risky strat in that if you take damage while you're trying to execute this trick, you can actually fail it. There are a few backups along the way in case it does go wrong, but those are somewhat out of the way, and every time you have to do one of those backups, you're losing that time that you were going to potentially gain otherwise.
So far, both of them have had pretty clean travels through the overworld here, picking up the Book of Medora. Neither of them really ran into any trouble there. Caznode does take a little hit here from Blue Knight on his way back east when he's heading back to the Desert Palace. But ultimately, that one half-hearted damage should not really affect how his dungeon goes. It's not a particularly dangerous dungeon. In fact, it's one of the shortest and simplistic dungeons, even for a blind playthrough.
So with Screevo there, we saw he just got one of the minor glitches in this run, which is called spin speed. And the way that's achieved is by releasing your charged sword and then 1 frame later pressing the A button, which puts you into a glitch state after you touch manual stairs and leave them cardinally, and lets you walk rather, at the speed at which you would normally be dashing with the Pegasus boots. So it's a trick that saves a few frames on some screens, and we'll see it used quite a bit on Death Mountain, where you're trying to dodge a lot of RNG elements as well. So Caznode slowly expanding his lead here. There's not a whole lot of time necessarily to be gained throughout Desert unless you're just dashing really, really poorly. A lot of Desert is just teaching you to use the Pegasus boots after you just got them. So that's why you have to bonk off of this torch in order to get this key here. And obviously that was the way that they also got the book.
Caznode heading up back over to the west side of the dungeon where he's going to pick up the power mitt. It's going to allow him to pick up some objects that he couldn't prior pick up. And then he will be heading off into the Lamolus fight, which is one of the most RNG-heavy fights in the game.
Yeah, it's a fight that requires a ton of practice. It seems somewhat simple on the start. You know, you just have to put 4 arrows in 3 things that are flying around in random spots and random distances, right? It's super easy. But one of the horrible aspects of the fight is that while you're trying to fire arrows into these landmos, if you happen to miss, which does happen occasionally, while that arrow's on the screen, you're not actually able to fire another arrow until that arrow stops moving. So that makes the fight a little bit difficult to recover from if you start missing some arrows on these. So definitely a very heavy RNG boss, and it's definitely something that can turn the tides of a race early on.
Ooh, Caznode takes a laser to the face, heading up north here, gets sniped, 3.5 hearts deep, heading into Lammo. Screevo, on the other hand, beginning the second half of the dungeon, he's still got 4.5. We'll see how they both do to wrap up this dungeon here.
Yeah, the way we track how good or bad a landmost fight is going by the number of cycles that the landmost go through. So all 3 of them spawn in a very particular pattern the very first time here, and that's the first cycle. But after that, everything's random, and the number of times they jump out after that, we just added on another cycle.
Caznode does a pretty strong start to his fight.
Ooh, nice. You got an arrow into all 3 of them there. You want to definitely distribute the damage throughout each of them. It's kind of bad to load up damage on one of them. You can potentially run into just one Lammo at the end and spitting out dirt in 8 different directions that you're having to dodge. Ooh, Screevo only got 2 arrows into the first Lammo, I think, and then whiffed everything else.
Looks like Caznode's cleaned up the fight, and he'll be moving on.
Yeah, Screevo's trying to clean it up here. It can be tricky.
He's having a little bit of trouble.
Once you get a little deep into the fight, especially if they give you some weird patterns and they spawn really far apart and they short hop you like that. Yeah, he makes it through with 6 arrows left as opposed to Caznode's 9 here. It's not really going to make too much of a difference coming up, but you do want to have a good number of arrows after this fight. So if they didn't pick up that 5 arrow drop there in the beginning, I mean, Screevo would be down to 1 arrow, which is kind of a bad situation to be in coming up here. Caznode going through the fake flippers glitch right there. So he hit that screen transition as he jumped into the water there. He was 1 pixel away when he jumped into the water, and you get 1 frame of movement as you land there. And so once you transition to that next screen, the game checks to see, you know, if you're in water, and if you are, then you can obviously just keep swimming. So even though we don't have the flippers here, we can actually swim through water.
There is a risk involved if you do take a fireball to the face from the Zora or hit the Zora, your game will soft lock, and that is rip run.
There's another special way you can soft lock there. That little puff thing on the very bottom right there that explodes out like the puff balloon thing, and he explodes and like shoots out those little things everywhere. Those can actually hit you as well, and we've seen a runner or two, not in this tournament, but we've seen a runner soft lock there before that way. I have no idea what that enemy is called, by the way.
It's definitely called the puff ball. I know what you're talking about. The little mushroom looking thing blows up the other little mushroom guys.
Yeah, scientific name for it for sure. So yeah, Caznode using spin speed
today.
here.
Today, certainly calling it the puff ball.
Absolutely.
Puff ball.
So yeah, Caznode's going up through Death Mountain here. It makes his way through pretty cleanly. He only took 1 heart of damage there, which is pretty nice. You can get very, very bad RNG with some of these squirrels through here, and we'll see how Screevo fares through. He's already 4 hearts going up Death Mountain, which is kind of a bad start. If he takes a lot more damage here, he may be in somewhat of a sticky situation once he gets into Hera. Because Hera, we do our first bomb jump of the game, and so we have to intentionally walk into a bomb, which is one of my favorite things to do. It's a really good way to lose a run, especially when you're 1 heart away. But they're going to intentionally take damage from the bomb to boost them over a pit coming up here in Hera.
I think somebody was having a little bit of trouble with that earlier today.
Never heard of it. Yeah, it's one of those tricks, the bomb jump that's coming up here. There are a lot of instances throughout this run where the trick that you're trying to pull off can save you a good amount of time if you do it well, on the first attempt especially. But if you fail it, you're going to end up losing a lot of time. And this is a really good example of that, because if you fail this bomb jump, you end up falling down a hole. You can fall 2 floors below and then have to work your way back up. So it's a pretty risky trick, but can definitely save some time. Screevo's down to 2 hearts here. He'll be fine as long as he doesn't take any more damage to this tile room, or he doesn't get any troll RNG with the mold arms coming up here. But might need some safety hearts if he takes too much more damage. So Caznode's coming up on the bomb jump that we were just talking about. He's going to set the bomb down and get at least 6 pixels away from that edge there, and then dash and bonk into the edge of the railing there. And what that does is it actually boosts him over as he takes the damage to send him over the pit. You can do it without dashing into the side there, but you need to be 2 pixels away from the edge there. So it's a much smaller window, but can be slightly faster.
Both of them have a little bit of damage issue right now. They're going to need to be really careful the rest of the dungeon. Screevo may opt to flip a switch to get some extra hearts later on, but Caznode's already in the wild ammo, troll dorm fight, so hopefully he can pull it out without taking any hits.
And the hairy cheeseburger worm is down. It can be a pretty trolly fight. If he knocks you off the edge there, that can be a pretty big time loss, because you just got to climb up the stairs and start the fight all over again. So if he gets into that last phase there, especially once he starts moving really fast, Screevo down to 1 heart here. He's going to have to dodge some Dodongo fire. It's really, it's a good thing he got a heart drop there, and it's a good thing that he hit the safety switch. Yeah, grabs 1 extra heart before going up to the Moldorm fight.
Gets immediately pounded back out.
Oh wow. Yeah, he's actually somewhat lucky there. I think his potential if you jump down, you can actually get knocked off a floor instead of back up. So that may have been the best thing that could have happened to him there. So Caznode's starting the tree rupee route. He pulls on the tree there to get blue rupees, and that resets some damage values. And now he's going to try to kill 4 enemies in a row without taking any damage. He's going to pull another tree, and some red rupees are going to come out. And that's going to give him just enough rupees to pay Kiki the monkey later. Screevo with the almost wrecked in chat. Almost wrecked. The best kind of wrecked.
He was over-exaggerating. He had a really great fight, really. Didn't take a single hit. Got a number of dashes right in on that tail. Cleaned it up pretty nicely.
Yeah, not bad at all. I mean, any fight where you don't fall down to Moldorm is definitely a good one.
Caznode's picked up the Master Sword now, and he'll be heading off to the Blue Ball Master, Aghanim, back in the original castle where we began our journey. Meanwhile, Screevo is on his way to pick up the Master Sword.
Yeah, and he won't have to worry about doing tree rupees here. Haven't been keeping a really good eye on Caznode, but I don't think he's taking any damage yet. So
He is not yet.
Yeah. So he pulls that tree, gets the red rupees, and he's got 118. You need 110, so he's totally fine. He's actually on a really nice pace right now. He's 20 seconds ahead of his PB as of Master Sword. Screevo falling a little bit behind his PB though. But this boss fight coming up at the end of this dungeon here, as you were hinting, can be very RNG based and can be a big time loss. And there's nothing that the runners can do about it, unfortunately. Somebody suggested in chat that perhaps Aghanim had expended his stock of blue balls, but I'm pretty sure we can all verify that to not be the case. As nice as that would be. So Aghanim's tower here that Caznode is working his way through can be a little bit tricky for newer runners. It seems like a really easy dungeon, but there are a lot of places where you can lose a good amount of time. He went through those first 3 rooms of Aga's Tower really, really fast with some optimal strats there using sword beams. So if you take any damage, like Screevo already has coming up to the castle here, you won't be able to use the optimal strats. So Screevo will actually be using a backup strat called Serving Up Din Din, unless he finds a heart drop coming up here somewhere.
It's also noteworthy to mention that using the not optimal strats can ruin your prize pack for later on for picking up a fairy before the Chain Chomps and Turtle Rock.
Yeah, and I think I was watching Caznode at that time, and he did set up the prize pack manipulation properly. It's not going to be as big of a deal for Screevo to do that, since he'll have powder, and there are so many anti-fairies in T-Rock that that fairy drop isn't the most necessary thing.
Yeah, it shouldn't really be an issue for him.
So you saw actually Screevo got the fairy drop right there. So that's going to change the prize pack. So the drop that he's on in the prize pack, it will have advanced beyond the fairy. So by the time he gets to Turtle Rock, unless he kills a bunch of other enemies that are in that same prize pack, he won't get that fairy drop. Okay, so place your bets. How many blue balls?
One Screevo and 9 Caznode. Calling it now. Someone's gonna get great RNG, someone's gonna have bad RNG. It's gotta happen. My man Screevo promised me 1 blue ball.
I'll go with 4 for Caznode, 2 for Screevo, and let's see who else is in this race.
He promised me 1.
I'll go 0 if IR Godzilla is still in this race, or Joe D'Amelio. So we'll go 4-2-0.
Godzilla is no longer in the race.
How many was that for Caznode in the first cycle there? I saw at least 1. I didn't catch the others if there were any. We'll be able to tell if
he had 2 in the first cycle.
Yeah, so if he gets a 3rd blue ball, he's going to get an extra lightning cycle, which is another 6 seconds lost that are nothing. That's nothing he can do anything about. So there was probably 3 right there.
Yeah, he's
so
got
there's
3.
The extra lightning. Yeah.
Screevo promised me one, so let's see if he can come through or if he's gonna break my heart.
Let's see if he set up the RNG manipulation properly, Kappa.
He's the chosen one and he knows it.
Alright, so I think that was just 3 there for Caznode. He's on his way to Dark World already.
He's also quite a bit ahead of his PB.
So 3 is pretty much the average that you're going to see most often. You can get up to 15, which is quite unlikely, but has probably happened and will happen. 2 so far for Screevo, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's breaking promises left and right now.
Toyed with your heart. Nice back boom, though. You gotta respect that.
Always the frustration.
Hey,
Don't worry, he promised me 4 for 4 energy balls in the second round.
Okay, if he at least pulls that off. Oh man, yeah, he's not getting good luck here, unfortunately. I mean, these are 50-50 chances, so he's losing coin tosses, but feels bad when you start losing a bunch of them in a row. Oh, I think maybe that was just 3.
Yeah, I think they broke even on 3.
Not bad then. Average for everyone. This is fine.
This is so fine.
Alright, so after that blue ball fun, Caznode's going into the first dungeon in the Dark World. This is where the difficulty kind of ramps up in the run a little bit. The dungeon itself is slightly confusing, if you're just a casual player of the game. You kind of have to go through some of the same rooms multiple times. But the biggest trick that we're going to be watching for is the hammer jump, which is another bomb jump, but it's a lot more difficult than the one in Hera. Requires 2 pixel perfect placements, and this is all while a bridge is collapsing, so you're basically on a timer as well. Very tough trick to pull off, but if you do it quickly, you can skip a huge portion of this dungeon.
So Caznode's picking up the boss key now, and then he'll begin making his way to the chest with the hammer, where he will be doing the hammer yump that was just explained. And hopefully we can see it done pretty crisply by both these runners.
It'll be interesting to see what approach he uses. There are kind of 2 main ones. A lot of them use buffers, whether they be start buffers or sword slashes to buffer your movement. Caznode looked like he wanted to actually almost fire an arrow at the crystal switch. This is something you do later in the dungeon. It looked like his muscle memory might have just kicked in a little early there. He was looking for a specific pixel to set this bomb down now. Looks like he has it here. He's going to place it down, throw another bomb over, which can be faster if he doesn't have too many more buffers here. He's got to move up 2 more pixels on Link here before that bridge gets him. Looks like he's good. And bomb jump complete. Screevo dodging that 1.0 exclusive glitch where you can get hit by something as you're falling down a pit.
It's kind of obnoxious in a number of places. Ice Palace, rather. I did not know about like the one Iceman that like chases you down.
Oh right, yeah, he can hit you on the way down.
Yeah.
Oh,
Caznode takes a
dash right off the edge there.
That was a really awkward fall. Typically, you can
I think
just dash straight into that and it'll bump you and bounce you right on over there. But it looked like he slowed up at the last moment and nosedived into the abyss.
I think he was afraid of the rogue tomato.
The rogue tomato is not a force to be reckoned with.
Give it the proper respect. That Mimics room looked pretty nice. That's another difficult room to optimize and get through quickly. And just the right arrow count, you can see as he puts an arrow into that Armos statue. So Screevo's coming up on the bomb jump now. Let's see how well he goes. I think he's probably going to opt for the single bomb version of this. He's probably not going to toss another one across. But
he says I'm going to because I roll so deep.
Screw you, Green Ham. Yeah, he's using start buffers here. Looks like he's got the pixel. Nicely done. Really nice bomb jump.
No, headed into the turtle party. It's going to get wild. It's pizza time.
So yeah, Caznode is going to be rolling into the boss fight here. Helmosaur can be pretty taxing. You don't have a ton of hearts here, and almost everything he does 2 hearts of damage. So he's got some RNG here where he can spit out fireballs or not. So Caznode gets a fireball there, so now he's got to dodge these 3. They're going to rotate out clockwise. And he's got to hit Helmosaur's mask 17 times. And he's using the sword out method here to expand his hitbox a little bit. And that is a really quick Helmosaur kill. The second part of that can be really tricky. There's a very, very tiny window where you can still hit Helmosaur like on his shoulder kind of with the hammer and do more damage than you would otherwise just slashing him. And then you can do one more spin attack to finish off the fight. And that was a really good demonstration of a nice, clean Helmosaur fight. Full hearts.
Screevo not way too far behind. He's coming in to the same shtick that we just saw Caznode grow through. He'll be heading into the turtle room as well. Hopefully he can clean it up as nicely as Caznode did.
Not quite as much of a turtle party as you were describing earlier. This room can really throw some stuff at you. Once you get a lot of those turtles flipped in the wrong direction, it can just start going crazy. But Screevo makes it through there pretty nicely. He's going to be coming up onto the same fight.
Gets pretty decent RNG there for the first phase. Second phase can be kind of trollish when Helmosaur can do more than one action at a time. Unlike the first phase, which he can only do one. And so you can easily predict what he's going to do once he begins it.
Oh, wow. Okay, that was really close.
The clench is real.
Yeah, on the second half there, he was going for those hammer hits, and he took damage right away. I think he still got the damage off that hammer. And then he started opting for some spin attacks, which seemed to work out pretty well, but he still got a fireball after that and then had to dodge all of it. And then finally cleaned it up with the last slash there. So lucky to stay alive, but that's a good situation to be in. Any boss you don't die on is a good fight.
There's a question in chat that I think you could probably answer very well, Greenham, from Siled F.
Oh, yes.
Do your best.
Yeah, that's obviously Solar, which is not correct, but it's Sahasrara, I think is somewhat close to how it's supposed to be said. But it's so much more fun to mispronounce it and just throw as many combinations of S's and H's as you can. Shmar. That's a good one too. Oh, it's Swag Duck time.
The Swag Duck. Today's actually the Swag Duck's birthday. For the next couple hours.
So yeah, we'll see a little bit of a route difference here from Caznode and Screevo. Caznode's going to be going straight into the next dungeon, which is Thieves Town. Screevo, after he gets the swag duck, is going to be taking a little detour to the witch's hut to exchange his mushroom for some powder.
It's kind of like the black market of Hyrule.
Supposedly that witch's assistant will give you free kisses for good luck, even if you're only half a heart down too.
I got one during our 100% race, and I was at full health. And then I got the 2 chests. It was worth it.
Sick RNG manipulation. Well done. Only second to the bird toss, I'm pretty sure.
The bird toss is what makes or breaks runs for sure.
Alright, so Caznode's making his way through Thieves Town. Really not a lot of worry of dying here except for one really troll room, which is referred to most commonly as the Hellway. There is a way that you can go through it optimally in the fastest way possible. It requires you hitting one specific pixel in the middle of the room, but it also requires you getting some really good RNG from the enemies that are going to be in it. Because you can still hit that pixel and dash all the way up, but still get hit by the enemies that are in your way. Swag Duck round 2.
Caznode does not get the pixel, but is able to kind of manage his way, meander his way back through the Hellway there. Not too much of an issue for him.
Yeah, only being down 1 heart, you're definitely happy with that. Yeah, these cricket-looking enemies here, actually, they look pretty harmless, but they do 2 hearts of damage. Where is Screevo going? Wow, I have not seen that route before. He kind of dashed around all those trees. I usually just walk out and then dash out. I don't know if he was avoiding the pickle there, but I thought he was lost for a second.
So Caznode actually took quite a bit of damage from the little savage grasshoppers there, so he's going to have to be very careful for the rest of this dungeon, because there are a number of enemies that can do 2 hearts pretty easily in the next several rooms if he's not careful enough, or if he's unlucky.
Yeah, there are a bunch of heart refills down in the basement here that he can opt to get, and these Zazix Emini I can't say the second part of that.
Blah, words. You'll get it next time, champ.
I'm pretty sure they're in the heart prize pack as well, so each one of those blue ones there, if he kills them, I think that's a 50-50 drop for a heart. Words are hard.
So he only opts to pick up 1. He gets no heart drops, gets 1 out of a pot, and is going into blind with 3 hearts, which for someone that's relatively skilled at the game should not be a big issue.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine he'll have much trouble with it. He seems to be a pretty solid runner. I don't know much about him personally, but from what I've heard from others, he's a pretty solid runner. He obviously has a very respectable PB, being sub 130. But the blind fight coming up here is a scripted fight, and it should go to script for an experienced runner such as Caznode. First phase go just fine. Just gonna poke, another poke, and another poke. Got him right where he wants him. The dodges there are scripted as well.
Takes a little bit of damage, making me a little nervous.
Yeah, that was really close, but yeah, as long as you get to that
1 heart he picked up was the best decision of the dungeon.
Yeah, shout outs to the Sank heart as well.
Screevo, meanwhile, heading into the Hellway, also does not get the pixel.
Ooh, yeah, he's getting bodied here a little bit by the Patrick Stars, too. Oh, nice powder. That was some swag, just like the immediate turn, and just... That was very nicely done. I don't think he even lost much time. Except for the menu, of course. Caznode's still on a really good pace in terms of his PB, too. Looks like he's about 30 seconds ahead coming out of Thieves. Looks like he splits on Crystal Catch.
The next segment of the game requires doing a number of things before heading to the next dungeon. Going to be picking up a couple of items, namely the Tempered Sword and a couple of chests of rupees in order to buy a number of things later on. Or I guess just the flippers at this point. My bad.
Yeah, so just a lot of item shopping that's going to be happening now by Caznode. He's going to upgrade his Master Sword into the Tempered Sword by rescuing a frog and giving him 10 rupees. Screevo going through the second part of Thieves Town here. He's got full hearts, so in this next jelly room that he's going to be coming back through now, he should be able to sword beam one of these out of the way, which is good because those can potentially electrify. So another reason to be good, another good reason to be full hearts right there.
So Caznode's now picking up the Tempered Sword. Probably going to go for that based fence dash. See if he doesn't let me down.
Screevo in the blind fight. Let's see how the script goes for him. First phase looks like it goes pretty well. I know he's not a fan of having sword beams here. It can kind of throw the fight off a little bit. It just doesn't quite feel the same. Typically, you're not necessarily going to be at full hearts, but yeah, he tanks a little bit of the damage there on the third phase. Just trying to get the slashes down and is able to make it through, which is pretty simple if you have full hearts. I missed the fence dash. Did he get it? Did he go for it?
The fence dash. He opted to walk a couple steps to the left of the fence and just dash straight up and then headed left into the house.
All right, so Caznode's coming up on probably what's the hardest room in this entire dungeon. A lot of the dungeon is just overworld movement, but you're trying to manipulate the movement of these Gibdos here while you're pulling this statue and trying to hit it on this switch, while you can potentially get wall mastered. But he gets through there really nicely. You can definitely lose a lot of seconds there. So yeah, there's definitely a few minutes separating our runners right now, but coming up on Ice Palace is probably going to be the next major section. I mean, any boss death is a bad one, but there are a few throughout this run that are a lot worse than the others, and coming up on Ice Palace is definitely one of them. If you die to Cold Stare there, it's a really, really big time loss, so much so that sometimes in a race, runners will opt to, instead of trying to go back through Ice Palace, if you die there, go to Swamp instead to get a magic and heart refill and then go back and do Ice. Wow, the double fence bonk from Screevo. I don't know if he's trying to prep the bottom fence for the fence, like scaring the other fence. Like
I think he's scaring it.
Fence dash
he's doing his scare tactics for sure. He's like, I'm getting the fence dash.
I'm just bonk this thing into submission.
It's like, did you see your friend over there? It's gonna be your face.
I'm just gonna dash right on by. All right, here's another kind of somewhat tricky room in Skullwoods that Caznode's going through. Very nice item dashes all the way out, though. It's a little bit of swag, but the item dash there, it does kind of give you a little delay coming to that next room, which kind of helps for reading the RNG of that mini Moldorm there. Falling into the Mothula fight now. This can go pretty quickly, or it can drag out a while, depending on this first damage here. You're trying to bonk into that back block there in order to deal double damage. It looks like he got the double there.
Got a
double hit off
really
the
good
start.
start to the fight. Cleans it up really quickly. That is one of the better moth fights that I've seen in this tournament, really.
I just missed fence dash on Screevo. I'm not sure if he got it or not, but then he bonked right into the bush afterwards. That's all I saw, was bonking in the bush.
So he
But he may have actually
that
got the
fence
fence
dash.
Based on the look on his face, I don't know. I can't tell. Yeah, Casnode's still on a really good pace here. I mean, Screevo would just have to be absolutely crushing it. I mean, he's maintaining really well. He's actually really not too far off of his PB right now. But yeah, you'd have to really be doing well to catch up to Caznode here. But like we said, you know, any boss death, especially this ice battle coming up, can definitely turn the tides of this race.
Now Caznode's going to be picking up a number of other items. The Quake Medallion will be first on the list, and then he'll be getting the flippers that will be mandatory for, I believe, 2 dungeons, I guess. Just Swamp and Ice Palace you need them for?
I think technically you would only need, well, yeah, I guess you would need them to get to Ice Palace as well. But yeah, you do need them in Swamp as well. I guess given the set of glitches that we can work with in this run, there's no way to get in there without them.
You could probably do Ice Palace in some fashion. Somewhere you could probably do the fake flippers for that, but you wouldn't be able to do anything about the beginning of Swamp Dungeon.
Oh, looks like Caznode missed the first stone that he tossed there. Had to go back for the bush to throw in to get the Quake, and now a bee.
Got a little friend.
Yeah, he made a friend, but I think this friend's... Is this friend going to be friendly? Or, yeah, okay, he warps out before he can do anything else.
Meanwhile, Screevo making his way through the torch room of Skullwoods. Looks like he's going to be considering picking up a fairy before he heads into the fight as well. Switches to the powder.
Ooh, dodges the wall master there too, after the powder. Yeah, and there's a little bit of a slow kill on that mummy there. What you want to try to do is actually hit the mummy into that spike, so that the mummy will actually take additional damage from that. And it's too bad that this Mothula fight doesn't work the same way. It's actually kind of the opposite. When you hit Mothula into any spike, even if you do damage to him beforehand, the spikes will actually overwrite the damage, and these spikes do 0 damage to Mothula. So unfortunately, even though you just hit him, you did 0 damage. A pretty nice fight. Another thing you can opt to do is poke dashing there, in case Mothula tends to, or in case he sticks up more towards the top and you just have no way of getting damage on him. You can try to do a poke dash with your sword charged, poke him, and then dash just a little bit afterwards, so it registers the slash damage as opposed to the poke.
Caznode entering the Ice Palace now. Got to be kind of cognizant of how much magic you have throughout this palace, making certain that you're full and ready to go for the boss fight, as you'll need an entire bar of magic in order to finish him off. The dungeon has a number of tricky spots in it in the speedrun, but that is also because about half of the dungeon, maybe even more, is skipped with one of the trickier bomb jumps in the run. Not quite as hard as the hammer jump that you've already seen both these runners nail, but definitely one of the trickier ones for beginners.
Caznode falling into a room with these 2 skeletons here. It's kind of interesting how this works. These can't actually be damaged unless they're in the secondary state here, but once one of them is down, both of them can be damaged. So we're actually able to kill both of them there with just 1 bomb. So here's the Ice Palace bomb jump. There's a little bit more leeway with the pixels, but it can still be pretty precise. Yeah, he didn't quite get the correct alignment with Link himself there. There are a few different visual cues that you can try to use here. And this is his last bomb, so Yeah, I think he's got it here. He'll be fine. Yeah,
Does
that would
make
be
it.
pretty
He is
bad
going to
deal
need
if
more
we ran
bombs
bomb.
at some point, though. He'll need at least 2 more. One in the mire and one to pick up the ice rod for now.
Yeah, it's definitely important to note. There is a refill room in Swamp where you can grab a few bombs that he'll hopefully hit up.
I imagine he'll pick those bombs up before he heads into the Argus fight.
So Caznode's going to be rolling into the Cold Stare fight here. Looks like he's got 5.5 hearts. Could be a slight cause for concern. There's going to be some falling ice, and if he takes any damage from that, that's 2 hearts. And then the puffs themselves of Cold Stare, once they're released from their shell, those will do 4 hearts of damage. So it could potentially be 2-shot here, but there is somewhat of, I wouldn't call it necessarily a script in the same way that Blind is scripted, but there's a pretty good pattern that you can try to follow for this fight. So let's see how he does here. Yeah, he opts to use a strat where he tries to spin him in the corner. They kind of get out a little bit, so he's chasing one down. Yeah, but he cleans it up pretty nicely.
Finishes it off, but takes an icicle to the face. But he's able to get through with 1.5 hearts left. The clutch clench. I'd say the biggest issue with that fight can typically be the eyeballs themselves. You're expected to pick up the blue mail in that dungeon, which I believe halves the damage that Link takes at this point. And so because you were still rocking the green mail, actually can do 4 hearts of damage anytime you take a physical hit from one of the eyeballs.
Yeah, there's so many ways that fight can go wrong, and a lot of it can come down to, just the ice falling and throwing you off a little bit in your pattern. The other thing is how that spin attack actually ends up pushing the puffs. Because if you push them not far enough into the corner and they hit the top wall, they'll actually spread out immediately instead of kind of getting stunned up in the corner there. So that can make for a really, really tough fight.
So now Caznode will be heading to the Swamp Dungeon, which is actually the second dungeon as far as the numbers that appear on the map. But with the Tempered Sword, the dungeon's much, much simpler. You're able to pretty much destroy the boss very quickly, and it's not a particularly hard dungeon because of how many heart containers you have accumulated at this point in the run.
Screevo on the Ice Palace bomb jump here. Looks like he missed it the first time. Go for it the second. When you move out of the door there, you're looking for a very specific Y pixel alignment. I believe there are 2 pixels that work, but if you just hold directly left out of that door there, it'll put you on a good one. And most players, what they'll do is they'll actually use a dash buffer on the edge. So they'll walk to the very edge, hit the dash button, and then turn around to the right and face right before the dash actually starts up. Yeah, and Screevo had to use a few extra fire rod shots in the very first room of Ice Palace. So if he ends up using powder or something, he may need to find some magic. But if he gets these 2 drops in the boss room, he should be fine. He's gonna go for the anti-fairy, looks like. So yeah, this magic usage that he's doing right here is going to put him below what he actually needs to finish off Cold Stare. You need a full magic bar. There are 2 pots in this room that he'll get, but he's going to be a little short. So he's going to hope for a drop from a prize pack, I'm pretty sure. Or
he's all about the beams.
Sword beams.
He loves the sword beams.
Yeah, so there's a strat here where you can use sword beams, and if you do it with the correct timing and use your fire rod, it'll actually do double damage, and so you won't actually have to use full magic. So let's see how this goes.
Misses the spin though, running into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, this is where it can get hairy. He's got a good amount of health here. He's trying to slash or chase him down with slashes, which will do more damage, but he ends up dying.
That is
That's
bad.
gonna be a big time loss.
That was what I was talking about. They do 4 hearts of damage for each hit if you get bumped by one of them, and when there are all 3 of them that have gotten away, it can be a huge, troublesome issue, which with Screevo has succumbed. So now he's going to have to farm some magic somewhere.
He should just, I mean, he should go to Swamp. I mean, he's a fan of doing that strat, but he's just sitting on the game over screen here. I'm not sure. I mean,
obviously disappointed with what has happened in Ice Palace. Knows he's already a little bit behind. Probably feeling kind of discouraged.
Yeah, and that's a really rough death there. Like we were saying earlier, it's a really big time loss no matter how you decide to handle it.
Gives the fans a wave. Says, what is up, folks?
Looks like he's just going to watch this one from the sidelines now, I guess. And I can't really blame him there. That's a really unfortunate
Ice Palace
death to take, you know. We've all died to cold stairs so many times, you know. It's a really difficult boss, so. Chat's rooting him on. Regardless of what he decides, though, big shout-outs to Screevo. He's been a big part of how this tourney has even happened and been able to continue going. He's done commentary and helped organize everything. So even though this may potentially be his exit from the tourney, I don't want to say that yet.
Yeah, it is. No, it's not an excuse, but I almost rescheduled. Like, there are some gastrointestinal concerns going on right now, so
no more need to be said, sir.
Barely gonna make it through, and I'm already 6 or 7 or 8 minutes behind based on chat, and I'm sorry, I hate to forfeit, but I
nobody can blame you, man. Take care of what business you need to take care of, if any need taken care of.
I presume Caznode's been on a pretty clean run at least.
He's on he's on pretty.
Yeah, he's on
right
PB.
now. He's actually ahead of PB. Yeah,
all right.
He was at one point. He was 47 seconds ahead after Skull, and he's about 33 seconds ahead after Ice, heading into Argus right now.
Yeah, so the Argus fight here shouldn't be too much of a concern for Caznode. He's at 6 hearts. You can take a little damage. Oh, he's going for the 0 cycle, which is a really, really difficult quick kill to go for on Argus here. Kind of opts out of it after it goes a little bit awry. Probably going to go for no, he's not going to go for the second half of this quick kill. Going to opt for the safe spins to finish off the fight, and Argus is down.
Alright, well.
Yeah, anything else you want to add there, Screevo, with not hopefully too much detail that will make Emma any sicker than she already is?
Oh, Emma could not possibly get any sicker than she is. Let me pull up Caznode. Let me see how he's doing. I was gonna listen to commentary, but I was having trouble concentrating.
Yeah, still on really nice pace here. He's 25 seconds ahead of his PB on his Crystal Catch at Swamp, as it appears on his split names here, which is a nice name for Swamp. Want to bet? Oh, the 5-dig gauntlet has been thrown down. Alright, so Caznode going to be making his way up Death Mountain once more. Do a little bit of item collection here. He's going to grab the Ether Medallion, which he needs to open Mire. He's using item dashing here with the hook shot in order to get the same super speed that you can get from doing the spin speed. They're all the same words. They're just mixed up in different combinations.
You just put them, mix and mash them together. You're probably naming a real thing.
You go really fast when you do weird glitches. But yeah, just gonna be collecting a few items.
Up my favorite item in the game, the Ether Medallion. It is good. Uses. It is so strong in the 100% run. Oh. What do I use it like 4 times in that run?
Okay, Rob, I told you I was going to learn 100% after I got knocked out, so I hope you saw me pick up that heart piece.
Hey, you were just practicing. We all know.
Yeah, he's on a really good run, isn't he?
Yeah, this is nice. So this is the probably one of the last item actually he needs to collect. He's going to be grabbing the ice rod here, which is only used to kill the boss of Turtle Rock. Ice rod spin speed hype? Yes, nice.
Oh, look at my timer just mocking me.
It's still running, man. Yeah, that's just right in your face. What is this, a red split? Ooh, that bird.
Uh-oh.
Throw the bird.
This could determine if he's gonna PB or not.
Throw the bird.
Toss the bird. Oh! I think he's gonna do it. I think he's gonna do it.
Yes.
Caznode never lets me down. He
RNG.
He wants the PB. He freaking wants it.
And on PB pace too.
He's totally getting. He's getting a 1 cycle mire too. It's not even a question.
Oh, that was a really, really nice mire too. That was really nice.
I had the only working timer on stream.
True, that is true. You did win something at least, Screevo. But hey, you stayed in the tourney longer than I did, so I got no room to talk. Okay, so Mire is actually can be a pretty tricky dungeon. You want to maintain your health throughout here pretty well because the boss at the end requires you to intentionally take damage. Hey, what better on 420 than some Funyuns? Ooh, that triumphant enter keystroke though.
With the emphasis.
All right, so Caznode's picking up the big key of the dungeon here. He is almost to the end. It's important to note, not really important, but it's cool to note that he has exactly 1 bomb here. He's going to be using the fact that using that very last bomb is going to automatically switch him to the next item in his menu, which should be the fire rod, which is going to allow him to quickly shoot a crystal switch without having to open the menu. Saves a few seconds, but it's part of the bomb route. And here's some more intentional damage that we're taking on these spikes here. So you're looking to have at least I want to say 7 hearts going into the Vitreous fight. Like I said, you're going to be taking 1 heart of damage from Vitreous from the slime that's actually surrounding him in order to charge a spin attack without getting hit out of it, so that you get the iframes and can spin all of the eyeballs that are sitting there.
You'll be seeing him use the cane quite a bit in the next couple rooms here. One of them will be pretty methodically. He'll be doing a nice little cane dash that makes the room infinitely easier when executed properly.
Yeah, he went for it. Unfortunately, missed it because he didn't actually dash. He didn't actually do the item dash. It looked like he
it
used
looked
the
like
item,
he
but
just
didn't
used
dash up
it,
with
and then dashed after.
But there you see the free menu he got there from using the very last bomb. So then he fire rods the switch, and it'll change in the next room, and then he's good to go over.
The Screevo gif is very strong.
I'm hoping he puts that. Yeah, okay, there it goes. On the game feed. Okay, so now we're getting to the vitreous fight. Caznode's got plenty of hearts going into this, but if he takes a bunch of damage from the eyeballs, he could potentially go down, but taking 1 heart of damage here, slashes 1 eyeball out of the way for safety. Well, he poked one there without releasing his spin, so he's taking a little more damage here than he wants. Should be okay, though. You can clean it up with a bow and arrow, or a few slashes like that. Yep, and he'll get through this fight just fine. Oh, wow. Is that what you're saying there? I can only imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Caznode still on PB pace here, almost 20 seconds ahead on Meyer Crystal Catch. And I believe, let's see, I think I saw his split time before was like 111 or something like that. So he's out of, or see, he caught the crystal at something like 110 then?
Looks like he lost about 5 seconds on that split, but having manipulated the rest of the game's RNG by throwing the bird into the lake should be able to make that time up and more.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He'll get all the quick kills really easily. They'll just be pretty much given to him. He'll just be able to walk through. But as soon as we say that...
Or he'll get the worst squirrel luck ever.
Nicely done. Oh man. So one got out of the way. And then the other,
yeah, it looks like he's gonna.
his way.
It looks like he's gonna duck in and out of the old man's cave home in order to reset them.
It's really unfortunate. There's not a lot you can do about that. I mean, you can wait until they unfreeze, or you can try going in the cave there like he did, which is probably faster. Refluting, I think, is an option if you're close enough. It can potentially be the fastest way to do that. But yeah, this is Death Mountain for you. Man, he's taken 5 hearts of damage already. Nice fanfare.
Yeah, a little victory tune, it sounded like. African or European swallow? Yes, he threw Pete Casserly into the water, and he deserved it for ruining my chances with Casey Benton in 8th grade.
Caznode opening up Turtle Rock here. Pretty difficult dungeon, as it is towards the end of the run. Even more difficult considering that we don't have the same armor that you would normally have here. In a casual run, you would be taking a lot less damage from all these enemies normally. So this first roller room coming up here, there are a few strats for it. The optimal one involves intentionally taking damage on the way out from one of the spikes, but considering how much he's already taken from Death Mountain and then from that fall right there, I'm not sure if he'll go for it. You can opt to use the hook shot for iframes to dodge the rollers that are going to be coming up in the next room, or you can just mirror out, which is a really, really safe way to do it, and really not that slow at all. It doesn't lose you that much time.
He may opt to mirror out considering how much health he has, but you never know. He might just want to YOLO it.
Yeah, these rollers do 4 hearts, so Wow, he does take the boost.
He does take the
Or was
damage.
that
Yeah,
3
maybe
hearts?
he's banking on the
He
fairy
did set
drop,
up the price. Yeah,
perhaps.
so this is exactly where we said the price back in manipulation would come into play. He's going to be killing a pokey up in one of these rooms coming up here, and it can potentially drop a fairy from one of the deaths. I think there are actually a few drops that happen on a pokey since it is considered a few enemies. He doesn't get it here, which is a concern for this Chomp's room, because those definitely do 4 hearts of damage, and
And he
that
takes
is
a
death.
chomp right to the face.
That is a horrible room, and you can get some really bad RNG there where the chomps are blocking you. I mean, it's not the absolute worst place to die in this dungeon because it's still relatively close to the beginning, but man, are they beasts. He also has another shot at the fairy drops coming up here, so he could potentially be full hearts coming through. Oh, he just blows past, which is fine because there are definitely more pokies throughout the rest of this dungeon. So he may just be getting the drop later on. It's down to 7 arrows here, so there are a few optional additional arrows you can pick up. Yeah, he's going to pick those ones up there, and there are a few more in Ganon's Tower. You're going to need at least 18 going into the Armos refight that'll be in the next dungeon.
Unfortunately for Caznode, that death probably put him quite a bit behind his PB pace, and he's going to have a hell of a late game in order to finish ahead of his best time.
Yeah, based on his split times, it looks like his endgame times are really solid. So, yeah, like you're saying, he's going to have a really good endgame here. Coming up on yet another Poke room. There are 2 Pokies in this room, and they can move in a variety of patterns, and it results in a total of 16 different, what we call RNGs, but are just 16 different patterns that you have to learn. There's that fairy drop and a magic drop, so that'll make him pretty safe going through the rest of this dungeon here. Nice fast roller room there. There are a few slower strats there that involve standing on those pegs to get iframes and waiting for that roller to pass by, but I think he did the most optimal strat there where you just blow right past everything.
Coming up after this maze, he'll be heading into what is called the laser skip. You'll see a number of lasers being shot horizontally across the screen, and they do a shit ton of damage if you get hit by one of them. And so he'll be trying to do a pixel. He'll turn on a specific pixel very quickly, and you'll see him dash right past them.
Yeah, only the front part of the laser, much like the fire snakes in this game, does damage. So there's a few pixels there that you can dash over on that laser and not actually take any damage there without... Normally you would use the mirror shield there if you were running through this casually. Alright, so on to the Trinex fight, where we have the only use of the Ice Rod. This fight should not be underestimated, as we've definitely found out in this tournament. There are a number of ways it can go wrong. He's going for the optimal strat here, going behind the heads in order to finish them off as quickly as possible. He wants to only get one shot from this main head of Trinex here, if at all possible. I think it is possible to do it so fast to where you don't even get that head swoop from Trinex there. Second part of the quick kill does a double spin to get a double hit, and then one more slash to finish off Trinex.
So that death looks like that death and the dungeon cost him almost about a full minute versus PB. So he is no longer ahead of the pace, and he is now almost half a minute behind. Still making great time as far as the race is concerned, but ran into some issues that put him behind the pace he wanted to be on.
So now we're heading to the very last dungeon in the run, which is Ganon's Tower. Probably the coolest dungeon to watch, even if you really have no idea what's going on. Just because there are a lot of rooms where you get to use the hook shot and go through them really, really fast. Just a lot of the strats ended up looking really cool. Swag duck on stream. Screevo with the emote entertainment.
So he's just making his way through Ganon's Tower. This first bit here, if you can make it through without any damage, which isn't particularly difficult with enough practice, does make the start of the second half kind of quick because you have sword beams you can hit an orb with, just slightly faster than shooting it with an arrow.
So Caznode's got 12 arrows right now. There are going to be 10 that he can optionally grab without going in this warp right here. There'll be a pot coming up, and there's one more in the room before the bombable floor. Or he could just, be one arrow short, which really isn't that bad. I think you can finish off Armos pretty easily with slashes if you time it correctly, but we'll see if he opts to grab the extra arrows here.
Looks like he's walking around. Looks like he's going to be picking them up. Probably from underneath of the skull.
There we go. He found him. So now we refight all of the bosses from the light world. Ice Armos is the first one, but now they're on ice. They were so nice, you get to fight him twice.
You understand the concept of end rhyme, I see. Very good.
I'm the next Eminem, I'm telling you. Alright, so Caznode's heading up on a pretty difficult section of Ganon's Tower here. The room after this one has some more mimics in it. These rooms are very difficult to optimize. When they're done really well, they look super easy. But once you start having troubles with them, they can go very wrong. So very nice Mimics 1. See how he does in the second one. This one's a little more difficult because of the BMOS here. Nice. Makes it through without even them firing at him. So nicely done. Went for the Cannonball Z dash, but wisely stopped it there before he got hit by a cannonball. So now he's on the Gauntlet, which is a series of 5 rooms where you have to kill every enemy in that room before you can advance to the next one. And as you can see, there are tons of various enemies here, and BMOS on tracks.
I think one of the things that's difficult about the Gauntlet for some people at first isn't necessarily the enemies, but more so the distractions that are on the screen as well. Because you will have lasers being shot at you or fireballs. They can definitely mess you up whenever you're trying to flounder around on some ice.
It can be a slippery slope for sure. All right, so landmost refight, looking to get a one
No.
cycle here.
No.
What?
No.
What?
You can't just casually head into that like that.
I did nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. Moving on. So some cool Cane of Samaria usage here with these wizard rooms. Oh, gets a little bodied by that enemy there on the bridge. Nice second wizard robes room though with the cane. So he picked up the pot there, but didn't wait long enough, unfortunately, to grab the extra heart. He's going to have 5 hearts going into the end of this. He's getting into the last light world boss refight, which is going to be Moldorm. Probably won't take too much damage there. Potentially could in the Aga 2 fight if he gets some blue balls or really weird patterns, but not having this many hearts going into Ganon certainly may be a concern.
So now we'll be fighting Trolldorm again for the second time. Slightly easier on this playing field because there's no middle hole to worry about, and he doesn't need nearly as many hits with the Tempered Sword. You can do a spin and a slash.
Alright, so we're going to come up on the Saga 2 fight here, which actually is, I think, somewhat of an underestimated fight. It seems easy. It's a lot like the first Saga fight, except now he has 2 clones. But those always fire out the energy balls, so you're just looking for good patterns and trying to react to them. Sometimes using these spin attacks here if you get some good setups, or another strategy you can use is to position yourself as close to the real Aghanim as possible and let the clones fire at you, and then kind of move away and slash the energy balls right into them. Down to 2 hearts now after getting hit by some blue balls, I believe. A really good Aga 2 fight would be probably 3 cycles. Like 2 would be absolutely godlike, because I think he requires 6 hits. So you'd have to rely on 3 energy balls and then hitting all 3 of those. And this game is so fun sometimes to where if both of them hit at the same time, it really only counts as 1. So even though you deflected them properly, sorry, but a link to the past. So heading into the Ganon fight here with a heart and a half can definitely be done because the way you practice this fight is, optimally, obviously, without taking any damage whatsoever, and trying to get to these first 2 phases without him warping any additional times. So there are 4 different RNGs you can get in the bottom here. He gets the mid-right one. It'll be he was trying to hookshot there to get the iframes to dodge the bats, but fortunately he goes down
fireball. There. He's going down.
That's not too bad, really, honestly, to die in that phase, like kind of early on, especially being that much down in health already. So, he'll respawn here with a good amount of hearts. But yeah, unfortunately, with the events in Turtle Rock, that did put him behind his PB, but he should be able to clean this fight up and wrap this race up.
Runs into a little bit more trouble here. Misses a couple slashes. Hook shots away. Tries to get back in and actually ends up dying a second time.
Yeah, I mean, once again, unfortunate, but at least he hasn't used any magic yet. He hasn't gotten to the phase where he'll need to start lighting the torches just yet. So bad deaths to take. All he needs
see if
to do
he
is
plays
complete
this
the
one a
fight
little
here.
safer.
Yeah, so you need 12 slashes on Ganon to get him out of this phase that he's in right now. Let's move on to the next one. Oh, man. Yeah, he's trying to use the hookshot a lot to get invulnerability frames so he can dodge those fire bats. But not working out for him, and this is the unfortunate loop that you get caught in sometimes as a runner, and especially when you're practicing, you know, kind of this Ganon loop that goes on here. But it's a tough fight, and, you know, especially with it being at the very end of the game here, when nerves are playing in, this can definitely happen.
So he gets the proper damage done this time, so he can head into the final phase. Should be able to clean it up pretty nicely. It gets kind of easier from here on out, so we'll see how he can manage with a couple of hearts left.
Yeah, I'm always slightly more comfortable once I get out of these first two phases here. It's slightly easier to deal with because the fire bats aren't spawning out anymore as long as you hit them fast enough in this third phase. The next big thing to look out for here, though, is getting the torch glitch, where he's going to light the left torch before the right one goes out. And what that's going to do is make it to where only the left one will go out during the fight. So he only has to relight that one in order to actually do damage on Ganon here. Which, since we have the Tempered Sword, he has to actually use these spin attacks in a very specific window of frames while Ganon is teleporting away.
So he's got a couple more hits here, finish it up. Looks like he's been doing a very clean job. Missed a couple fire rods here, but other than that, he should be okay to finish it up. Gets the job done. Now he's just got to wait for the final music to play, and then he can head on up to victory and advance into the tournament.
Yep, GG, Caznode.
Yeah, still cut my PB by 309.
So yeah, that was a really nice run for Caznode.
Yeah, 38.4. It's got to be a PB, right?
And obviously he was on really good pace until the instance of Turtle Rock. So well done, overall a really good run. Let's see if we can pull him in here for a post-game interview. All right, looks like we got Caznode in here with us now. Oh. All right, he should be unmuted. All right, looks like we got Caznode in here with us now. Oh. All right, he should be unmuted.
In the meantime, while we're trying to get him in here, a reminder that tomorrow there will actually be 2 races going on. It'll be a double race. We got at, it looks like 8 p.m. Eastern time. We got number 53 seed, Salatman 92, my man, Kev number 2, versus Canis 999. And then we've got my boy IR Godzilla versus the King Heeple. It looks like the man. 8 p.m. Eastern 24-25 race, which will also be super hype and will be a very close race. So definitely don't want to miss those. Make sure you guys are here tomorrow for the double race. And then we've got my boy.
And it looks like we have the winner of our race here. What up, Caznode? GG.
Turns out the problem was I had myself muted, so good on me.
Which will also be super hype.
Looks like you got your timer working now too, so GG.
Definitely don't want to miss those. Make sure you guys are here tomorrow for the double race.
Go ahead. Looks like we have the. But hey, really nice run. You know, you were obviously on a really good pace up until the events in Turtle Rock there. So really nice run up into that point. What were your thoughts on it?
I just wanted to give shout outs to the bee before Ice Palace. That thing was pretty awesome.
Yo, you got a friend there. You got a friend in B.
Stop. Ham.
That's my fault because I asked him to be on commentary.
Fair. No, dude. Green Ham is my boy.
No, I figured I was bleeding time pretty much ever since Skullwoods. So, I mean, I didn't have super high expectations for the run. I was happy as long as I finished.
I was happy that you took your time to throw that bird into the lake. I knew good things were going to happen in Meyer too.
I did it because I knew that Screevo wouldn't be there to do it. So.
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, he had already forfeited, so I figured somebody had to.
Yeah, no, it needed to be done, and we were very happy that you did it for sure. So thank you for doing that for the proper RNG manipulation for the end.
Thrown me into the lake.
All you have to do, Screevo, and even according to yourself, just remember to get good.
You know, I guess so.
But Screevo, good game to you as well.
Liar.
I mean, we obviously know what happened there, but any additional comments on your run?
What is there to say that hasn't been said by many curse words uttered before me? So it was bad.
Just say if you really have no idea what else to say, just say 420 blaze it, and then you're done.
If there is one day where that's acceptable.
420 blaze it.
Gotta love the feeling behind that.
He meant every number and letter.
That's like whenever you like hit your sister and your mom forces you to tell her you're sorry even though you're not. 420 blaze it.
So anyway, good game to both of our racers here. Like K-Rob mentioned, we have several good races going on tomorrow as well. So be sure to come back to the Speed Gaming channel here. Shout outs to the Speed Gaming channel and everyone who is making this possible for hosting us. There's several other tournaments, speedrunning tournaments that are going on this channel and others. So be sure to watch those and check those out as well and support the speedrunning community.
Yeah, good game.
Yeah, good game, guys. Thanks for the race. It was a lot of fun to watch. Congrats again, Caznode. Good luck in the next round of the tournament.
Yeah, I think I'm up against either ACM or Christos, so it'll be fun.
Good. You got it. Lockdown.
Bird toss, and you're good to go.
All right, thanks everyone for watching. 2X. Have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow for the races. Deuces.
Later.
Swag Duck, we out.
You're a nerd.